Can you hear me? Can you hear me? 1 1 1 1 2 3 1 2 3. No. 1 2 3 1 1 1. I don't hear you. No. Louder?
Around.
But only if I turn this on. Go again? No. It's just when I... Again?
1 2 1 2 1 2.
No. FX is here. FX is here. FX send is going into here. No, not hearing. Why not? From here. I mean, I can hear you if I turn it on, but that's not what we want, right? Yes.
Welcome to Mallorca, to Puerto. We're on the penultimate day of the Puerto 52 Super Series sailing week. Good news from the waters, we're already seeing 10-11 knots. That's the most we have seen so far this regatta, and we're looking like a good afternoon, a couple of good races hopefully. Super tight at the top of the table. Sled just 2 points clear of Phoenix. Quantum Racing on the comeback trail. Let's look back to yesterday and see what happened then. Hopefully. Just coming.
Last night was good fun. There's probably a few dusty faces around, not me. But, you know, it's nice to be sailing back at home. Well, second home.
This place we feel like home here. We always bring the family in, the kids swim in the pool, in the sea, and look at it, it's an amazing place.
Well, today really is the midpoint of the season, but really no time to take stock. We're in the midpoint of the regatta. It's so close at the top of the table here. We've got Interlodge just taking the lead yesterday. Bad day for Phoenix, but they're poised in third, and Sled also in the mix. A little bit of a recovery from Quantum and Platoon, so everything to play for.
Yeah, you know, I think we're feeling pretty good. I think, you know, obviously we're not having the regatta we would like to up to now, but we're not even halfway through this one. It's not so much that we're sailing bad, everybody else takes advantage of every little miscue.
So race 5 gets away with a breeze of about 8 to 9 knots on the start line. Access of the top mark is about 205 degrees, so normal sea breeze direction. Phoenix start off the committee boat end of the line. Quantum are best off the start line. They're first across the line. Privetza on the pin end of the line lead through much of the first upwind, but really at the top mark, Phoenix come in very nicely at the last minute from the left and get squeezed just inside Quantum and Privetza. So Phoenix lead round the top mark from Quantum and Privetza. Phoenix and Quantum step well clear, build themselves a nice lead over Sled, and that's the finishing order. Phoenix win, Quantum gets second, Sled third, and Interlodge, the regatta leaders, come through in ninth. So we roll fairly quickly into the next race, and 9 to 10 knots of breeze on the start line. Quantum Racing get the best start of the regatta off the pin end of the line. Great pace, perfectly timed, and that gives them the very early lead. They jump out to 25-metre lead early on. Round the top mark, it's Quantum Racing leading from Sled with Interlodge in third, and that is really, in the end, the order all the way around the course until just coming into the finish line. Sled and Quantum Racing pull to the left, the breeze going light and spotty. Sled just pipped them on the line, but by only 1 second. Quantum Racing end up with second, and Interlodge come through in third. So leaders after 6 races are Sled on 16 points, second are Phoenix on 18 points, and third Interlodge on 23 points.
Yeah, really good day for us. We had a first and a fourth, and yeah, we're in the hunt, we're in the game. Sled had a good day as well, and Interlodge came back with a good second race.
We knew it was going to be close. We were a bit nervous about Interlodge. It was coming in a million miles an hour while we were having a little battle with Terry and Quantum.
Still light sea breezes today, but 2 decent races away. Sled just on top, very close behind, and Quantum Racing, solid day on the comeback trail. Well, that was yesterday and this is today. Let's have a look at the standings. After these 6 races have been sailed, we know that Sled are just on the top of the table by a couple of points. Phoenix, a little bit of an up and down day yesterday. They did not get the second race really that they wanted. As I said, Quantum Racing coming back nicely and getting themselves up to 4th on the table. They're going well. Let's look then at the standings, just a little bit more detail, a little bit of analysis. And as I said, Sled super consistent really so far. Worst scores so far have been a pair of 4th places, but we are 20 seconds, less than 20 seconds before the start, going straight into race number 7. Platoon coming up towards the start line, real bunch at the committee boat end of the line. Value starting down at the pin end, big gap above them. Now Platoon really have been having a little bit of an up and down regatta, 5th and 7th yesterday, and once again really not getting the best of starts. Well, Privetza above them are worse, but Platoon have got a nice lane. Value get away nicely, Up at the committee boat end of the line, we see Phoenix and Interlodge. Sorry, momentary lapse there. Phoenix and Interlodge up at the committee boat end of the line, going right early. Now the left has been traditionally strongest. We saw that through yesterday. So Value pushing for that side in general. Phoenix, Interlodge, Sled, Quantum all off the right end of the line. So it's clearly some starboard end bias set by our race officer Maria Torrijo, as is the normal process, the normal procedure. Try and give the boats some advantage at the right end of the line, so not everybody's starting off the pin. So Phoenix with the early lead now. Sled, the regatta leaders, in fourth, some 60 metres behind them. Quantum, now you're starting to see them in third, but well forward of the two boats either side of them, Sled and Gladiator. Now that can start to be a problem for Sled if Quantum rise up and start squeezing them. But Phoenix working from that starboard end bias. That's what's given them the early advantage. Value now starting to strengthen their hand along with Platoon down on that left side. Platoon in second. I say they've really not had the best of regattas. They're only fifth overall. They won that one race, race number 4. Since then had a 5th and a 7th, and however they are presently second. So for sure the one thing we've learned on this race course here in the Bay of Palma this week is that it's never really been consistent on the first beat. A lot of it's been dependent on the exact orientation, the exact bias on the start line. Sometimes there's been a little bit more wind pressure on the right. However, yesterday that second race saw a masterclass in starting off the pin end from Terry Hutchison and the Quantum team, and then just pipped on the finish line. So Value then the Whitcraft family from Thailand. Going well now on this left side of the track. Phoenix furthest to the right, well separated really from the fleet. Quite sure it's not really what they wanted unless they have massive faith on that right side, but Interlodge in ninth as we start to see Value's bow come down just a little. So bearing to the windward mark was 195, distance is 1.8 miles. We're just getting a few images from the water and seeing that the breeze has built quite nicely actually. I think we're seeing 12 or 13 knots, the most we have had so far this regatta, so hopefully we're building up to a big finish tomorrow. And for the meantime, things not looking brilliant for Phoenix out on that right side, but Sled also 2 boats to leeward of them. All the time then now, if you watch value on that left of your picture, we can see the bows going down a little bit. And value tacking now as they're getting into the lift. Now they'll be close with Platoon, very close, and in the end choosing to duck, although Platoon will tack on them right underneath them and will squeeze them up. First question in of the day on our social media channels from Quai de Loire, asking what the wind speed is. Well, it is now 13 knots. As I said, that's the most we've had this regatta so far. I can tell you it's starting to give us a little bit of cool air coming into our studio now. Which is very welcome indeed. But in the meantime then, Platoon taking over the lead on this left side, along with Prevetsa. Quantum going nicely. Sled in 5th. So keep your eyes on Phoenix then on that right side. To me, they're just getting a little bit of a lift, maybe extra pressure on that side. Certainly not looking terrible, even relative to a Sled. Quantum just going behind Interlodge. So certainly a fascinating upwind then. Value in 3rd, Platoon leading, Prevetsa 2nd, and Phoenix coming good just now in 4th. Certainly they're going to cross Sled and Quantum. The key thing for Phoenix is having at the moment 4 boats between them and the regatta leaders. And indeed, Phoenix just take the opportunity to bounce Sled back to the left towards Quantum. And Platoon Jordi Califat, the local hero, the strategist on board, working with John Kostecki, the tactician. Well, "30 years today since the Olympic regatta started in Barcelona, where Jordi Califat won his Olympic gold in the 470, and that was really what launched his career. It's interesting talking with Tom Slingsby yesterday, with him just saying how important it was to not be overstanding, not be ending up too far to that left side in the lift and giving away distance and time. So they've just tacked now and coming back at Prevetsa and Platoon. Coming across on starboard. So this is race 7 of 10. Should be 2 races today and 2 races tomorrow. And as I say, the breeze is as strong as we've had all week, and how unusual it is for us to be sailing, to be racing on a Monday, a points racing. Often we have a practice race, or usually we have practice racing. So getting busy up at the top of the fleet. Vayu then still leading. It's where it gets difficult. Just forced attack by Platoon. Correspondingly then have to wait for Platoon to go back. Platoon hold them out momentarily. And that lets Allegra through into second. But as is so often the case, then get the fleet stacking up on or getting up towards the port tack ley line. We bounce further and further left. In the meantime, we're just watching Phoenix and Sled's tactics out on the right side. From their point of view, the good news is that Interlodge, their third place boat, is quite deep just now. They're in 8th. However, in saying that, there's not much between them. Again, I guess you have to reflect on Prevetsa's performance this week. So often we've seen them up early on in a race in the top 2, top 3, sometimes leading. Very rarely able to make it stick, to hold on to these top 2, top 3 positions. They've had a 3rd in the first race and a 4th and a 5th yesterday. So team which won here in 2017 are presently 6th, albeit tied on points with Platoon and only 3 points behind Quantum Racing. So in the end then Vayu getting bounced out to the left side, losing a couple of places. And because of that, as I say, the fleet, the main body of the fleet being forced more and more left, this should be to the advantage of Phoenix on that right side, or right of middle. Really their focus has just been on using their proven upwind boat speed, staying out of trouble, and in fact in this instance keeping quite a nice cover on the sled. So the key is for Phoenix is going to be perfect ley line on starboard, leaving no room for the boats on port to come in and tack underneath them. Particularly Platoon. Now we're just seeing Phoenix and Sled just taking a little bit of a knock, just the bows are coming down. Look at Sled's angle. Now we've seen this so many times with this split breeze at the top of this windward leg. So between Prevetsa and Phoenix just now. Prevetsa I think will get through inside. So Phoenix tacking just on a tight ley line, just as we said. May be able to get up to Prevetsa a little bit. Prevetsa will tack on their face, so unfortunately. There you see Platoon now having to go behind Phoenix. Quantum also having to detour round behind that group of 3 boats. And this is when it gets expensive for the boats behind, particularly Vayu now. Vayu, who were leading up that left side, having to tuck in behind Sled. And in fact, Prevetsa leading round the top mark. Phoenix second, Platoon third. Really good conditions now. Quantum not too far behind, but fourth is always a starting point, a platform to build from. They have the event leaders Sled alongside them. So it's Prevetsa, Phoenix, Platoon. Sled, Gladiator, Allegre, Vayu, Interlodge then. So as I said, a little bit more wind pressure, seeing 12, 13 knots on the water. Then Phoenix sandwiched between the 2 Vrolic boats, Prevetsa and Platoon. And in turn, Phoenix having 2 boats between them and Sled is really good news for the team from South Africa. So once again, as we've seen so many times, downwind, it's a straight procession, a boat speed test. No opportunities to jibe away, simply because the right side is so favoured coming downwind, left side upwind. As I said before, that just makes it so hard to gain back places once the first upwind is completed. So Trevor Walker observing a good day for the Udall Vrolic boats. Well, a long way to go yet, but so far so good for Prevetsa and Platoon, who incidentally are 5th and 6th on the leaderboard. But on the speed gun just now, Prevetsa the quickest, or were the quickest boat. Allegri going quite fast on 7th place. So Phoenix going for the early air jibe. Jibing away from Platoon and Prevetsa. So let's watch that gain line, advantage line between Prevetsa and Phoenix. Quantum going nicely down the middle. And in the meantime, Platoon carrying on all the way down towards that right-hand corner looking downwind. Jibing now. So Quantum are in 4th place just now. Let's watch how they line up against Platoon. Platoon went further out to that right side looking downwind. This is certainly the best that we've seen of Prevetsa since day one. Race 1, which was won by Phoenix, Sled in 2nd and Prevetsa 3rd. So Phoenix on that left side do seem to have made 15 metres or 20 metres of gain relative to the race leaders, Prevetsa. Quantum, meantime, have jibed back at Platoon. Platoon 3rd at the windward marker, I think. It's going to be all about positioning at this leeward gate. But for me, Quantum making a gain relative to Platoon. Whether they come all the way across or jibe again. So certainly coming back on a nice angle, closing with Platoon. Super close. Quantum, I think. Well, in the end, Platoon jibing onto starboard. Quantum were the boat with the advantage. Platoon were giveaway boat, and at the same time then Quantum jibe away. So all to the good meantime of Prevezza and Phoenix. Now over 100 metres clear of Quantum, who I think we'll see go round this leeward gate in third. So we're on race 7. First run, leeward gate coming up. Just a very little bit of bias on that left-hand mark. Certainly in terms of our geometry. So you'd imagine that both Prevezza and Phoenix will come to that left mark looking upwind. Wonder whether there'll still be an option for Platoon to get inside Quantum. Well, as we said, that Prevezza looking more like they're heading for the right mark. It's a good run for Quantum so far then. Getting up to third. Prevezza then has led at every mark so far. Ergen Imre's team flying the Turkish flag. John Cutler, Olympic bronze medalist in the fin, is steering the Prevezza. Phoenix just 10 seconds behind. In the end, Platoon still just ahead of Quantum. Sled round in 5th, Bayou round in 6th. So, as I say, 2 boats between Sled and Phoenix. Will give Phoenix the regatta lead if positions stay as they are. Gladiator round in 8th, and I think Interlodge quite a long way behind in 9th, where their tracker appears to be doing funny things. So Phoenix have not won a regatta yet. 3rd in Bayona, just a point behind Platoon, but they were the early leaders. They went 1-3-3-1 there. And then they went 8-6 on the penultimate day. And at the Worlds, Phoenix were 4th. And started a little bit more modestly there with a 4.45. And of course we all remember that at the World Championships here in November, Phoenix were leading going into the last day, or in the last races, until their kite exploded on the last run. And that potentially cost them the championship. So maybe this is starting to really present the final challenge and execute in the last 3 or 4 races. At the moment they have sled where they need them, and Interlodge a distant 9th just now. So this would take Quantum Racing onto the podium, onto 3rd place, I think, for this regatta. But kudos to Preveza. Preveza have made this one stick so far. 90 metres clear. This would bring a little bit of joy to the Preveza camp. As I said, they were tied on points with Platoon, 3 points behind Quantum. This is going to be good for Preveza. This will probably take them up to 4th or 5th. Wonder whether we could have a look at the projected standings. There you go, look at that. As if by magic. So that would be the projected results after this race. 3 races to go after this one. Phoenix would be leading on 20 points, Sled 21, 10 points back to Quantum on 31, tied on 31 with Preveza. This could be a key result for Preveza, might just give them the momentum to get onto the podium. Interlodge dropping a point behind them in that 9th. Now remember, yesterday morning they were leading the regatta. Platoon in 6th, but there's only that 1 point between 3rd and 6th. Incredibly close in the middle order. Allegra in 7th, a little bit out of touch with the middle of the fleet. Gladiator in 8th and Vayu in 9th. Vayu with a couple of places between them and Gladiator. So everything to play for all the way through the fleet. And saying that, things evolving. Phoenix out on that left side. Appear to have lost momentarily, but I think we'll see them digging back to the left and profiting, I think. But it's interesting, on the right side Sled in particular sticking with their general strategy. We more often than not see Sled working the middle right. Quantum and Platoon having a battle then. A little bit of match racing. Not the first time we've seen that this season. I'm still kind of seeing this fourth place just now for Phoenix as temporary, but clear a little bit of a split in the breeze as we saw at the top of the windward leg last time up. Yeah, so Phoenix in the lift on port, out on that side, chasing Prevetsa, who are just lured on the head. So Phoenix just lifting a little bit higher on that left side, sailing more directly towards the windward mark than Platoon, who are to the right of them. So Prevetsa in the end with quite a substantial lead just now, 120 metres. Phoenix close with Platoon. Quantum coming back at Platoon, Quantum on starboard. Pretty close, but I think Platoon will get across. Indeed they do. But I think from there Platoon would just carry on out to starboard tack ley line. You can see the high angle just now that Prevetsa and Phoenix are sailing. Prevets electing to tack back at Phoenix and cover, I think. Indeed, Prevets just tacks in front of Phoenix. Just keeping the cover on them. So once again we're seeing that knock on the kind of upper right of the course, which will be a lift coming back on starboard, but Phoenix and Prevets opening distance all the time on the boats to their right as they're sailing in a different breeze, still quite high. And in fact, Platoon have opened distance and Quantum as well. It's interesting, clearly something going on. In fact, Phoenix seeming to get a little bit of a knock. Potentially under threat from Platoon. So looking like it'll be close between Phoenix and Platoon and the cross. Prevets are back in a lift. You would imagine that should come down to Phoenix, but not very much in it at all. Couple of messages coming in from our social media channels. Alan Staniforth from Longboat Key in Florida, big Phoenix fan. Greg Reynolds in Perth, Western Australia, asking about live video. Unfortunately, this is what we have. Well, there you go. On cue, just for a moment, just a quick flash, but Prevets are coming round the top mark with a good lead over Platoon and Phoenix. Platoon and Phoenix side by side. Phoenix luffing Platoon up just before the zone. Phoenix are entitled to mark room. We're just seeing that nicely in our little cameo live video there. But Phoenix defend, get round the top mark nicely in second. But certainly under pressure from Platoon. Prevets are 24 seconds ahead. Then I still have Phoenix in second, sorry. Platoon third, Quantum Racing fourth, Sled fifth. And a big gap back to Allegre. Value, Interlodge and Gladiator then tussling over 8th and 9th. So we're on the final run of race number 7, first race of the day here Monday afternoon. So looking like a happy Monday for the Prevets team so far. Interlodge though nearly 2 minutes behind, and Gladiator about the same. So just as we were saying in the early part of this broadcast, how Preveza have often done well in the early part of races and then not made it stuck. Well, here they come with a 144 metre lead down the final run of race 7, looking to register their first win of this regatta, but it will get them up the leaderboard. It's so tight in the middle of the scoreboard. So all the P's, Preveza, Phoenix Platoon, 1, 2 and 3. 2 Vrolic boats, the Preveza and the Platoon. Otherwise, all the other boats in the fleet are from the Boutin studio. And this will be such a massive confidence boost to the Preveza team. Remember I was saying yesterday that they started with a few problems in Bayona. Really well prepped for the season, in good shape, and done all the training. But then had a health issue, you know what we're all talking about in that respect, but had to replace their helmsman and 1 or 2 upsets in the team. And so that really affected the early part of their season, the first 2 regattas really, because they were on defensive mode, damage limitation in Bayona, and that had a knock-on effect really in the Worlds in Cascais, because the team really hadn't been racing together in the full format the same way that the other teams had. So 2 boats between Phoenix and Sled. They have Platoon and Quantum Racing, so that will be key for Phoenix, getting on top of the leaderboard. Sled were leading going into this race. However, things can change. Quantum punching out to the left early. But there are 160, 180 metres between Sled and Quantum Racing. So certainly from Phoenix point of view, not too much can change, or you would imagine not too much can change in terms of their potential lead in the regatta standings. So there's your projected standings as we saw it in the last leg. Phoenix then would be leading the regatta by a single point from Sled. Interlodge then will be 10 points back, as will Quantum, as will Preveza, and Platoon will be 12 points behind second place Sled. So really shaping up, as I said, for a big exciting finale. But looking good in particular for Phoenix and Sled. So potentially a match race for the title, or a duel at least for the title between these two, the way things are at the moment, Phoenix and Sled. Then Interlodge, Quantum, Preveza and Platoon all only separated by a couple of points. Quantum appear to have got through Platoon down that far left side. May just be temporary. Will very much depend on the orientation of the finish line and how it looks when Platoon jibe. But a couple of boat lengths in it just now. Quick run through the Preveza crew list then, as they come down through to the finish line for what should be their first win of this regatta. They won the last race in Cascais. So Ergen Imri is the owner, Willie Beavis is the floater, Mo Gray, aft grinder, Mariano, better known as Cole Parada, is in the backstay and strategist, Nacho Postigo, navigator, Hamish Pepper, tactician, John Cutler, helm, Skip Baxter's now on the main sheet. Matthew Barber, local from Palma, is forward grinder. Juan Messiger and Daniel Fong are the trimmers. In the pit, Turkish sailor Togan Alper. Akivanch Sevinch is on the mid bow, and Juan Fulana, better known as Fuji, is on the bow. And indeed, Fuji should be the first man through the finish line. So in the end, a nice gain from Quantum with that early jibe. Going to come across Platoon by 2.5 boat lengths. Just seeing that now, and so you go, Quantum getting a third. They were fifth, I think, at the top mark first time up, then third second time up, or fourth second time up, and then getting through Platoon. So that should elevate Quantum above the log jam. Certainly, I think get them above Interlodge in terms of points. May well be up to third overall. We'll see that in a few minutes once we get the computed points table up in a few minutes. But Platoon though coming back at Quantum. Certainly not over yet. Platoon on starboard. Anyway, just looking at Preveza then going through the finish line. They're winners of race 7, their first race win here in Puerto, a venue where they won in 2017. That was their first regatta win. So they are through the line. Red hulled Vrolic design, flying the flag of Turkey. And just watching live momentarily, looking like to me that I think Quantum just getting there ahead of Platoon. Phoenix are through in second. Indeed then, Phoenix get through for second place. It is Quantum through in third. Platoon fourth, there's 7 seconds between them in the end. Sled in fifth. Value going to get their second sixth in a row. So a little bit of disappointment then for the sled team, the current 52 Super Series champions, regatta leaders by 2 points going into this race, coming away with their worst score of the regatta so far, a 5th place. Which should give the regatta lead then to second place Phoenix. Interlodge getting through the line in 8th and Gladiator 9th. So great to see a little bit more wind pressure on the water. 12 knots, 13 knots at the start. You can see some white horses out in the water from our commentary booth. So that should give Phoenix the regatta lead once again. It's been seesawing back and forwards. And the key thing then for Phoenix will to be try and stay a little bit more consistent. Yesterday they had a 1 and a 4. They were down in 7th at the top mark. First time up. Managed to wriggle through and get a 3 places to finish 4th. So hopefully in the next few seconds we can see the standings. After 7 races, well, Phoenix are 1 point clear of sled now. Then Interlodge and Quantum Racing tied on 30. Provetza 31, Platoon 34. It's a real logjam between 3rd and 6th. It's going to be fascinating, but 9 point gap then between sled and Interlodge. So things looking very good for Phoenix and sled, stepping a little bit clear. And further down the table, Allegra 7th and 43 points, Gladiator 51 points, Value creeping up 55 points. So gaining a point on Gladiator in that race. So that's our standings after 7 races. Join us in a wee while for race 8. Keep an eye on social media and we'll update you with the timings. So welcome back to Puerto Portals. Breeze is still up round about 12-13 knots on the start line, and we're going into the start of race number 8. We have just over a minute and 10 seconds to go. Looking very much like we're grouping towards the committee boat end of the line. Interlodge and Phoenix most left of the group, along with Sled. Interesting, Phoenix and Sled started off the committee boat end last time. Gladiator and Allegra furthest right of the group. Quantum pushing Platoon up. Interesting. In the end, Value having to tack away from Platoon. So to Prevetsa just holding station or having to tack. It's very close. Platoon just setting up quite nicely in the end, although they have Quantum just in front of them. We're at 15 seconds before the start. Good conditions, but really not too much more breeze than we saw previously. So 5 seconds before the start, Interlodge at the pin end of the line along with Phoenix. Get away nicely, Phoenix. Potentially the best start. Potentially, you can never just tell. Very close to the line, but Gladiator attacking out early. Allegra not too bad. Platoon attacking out from their position, didn't get off the line that well. So the top two boats on the standings just now, Phoenix and Sled, they are 9 points clear of third placed Quantum, and they are side by side, two boats up from the pit end of the line. We've got Phoenix just above Interlodge and Sled beside them. Quantum not so good off that start line, clearly, if they're just tacking away, or not sure what happened there, but they seem to start to tack alongside Sled. So Interlodge in the key position then on that most left side of the course. So at the moment, Sled going a little bit quicker and starting to get over Phoenix just a little bit. But very, very close. Only 4 meters between the top four boats out on that left side. And certainly for the moment, Phoenix having to wait for Sled. Sled will hold them up. Quantum actually in more of a controlling position now, especially as they seem to be heading more on that side. So in the end, Phoenix attacking first and going behind Sled and going behind Quantum. I think as much probably because they don't want to get pinned out further and further onto that left side. I mean, from memory, I don't remember seeing Phoenix really pushing that left side too often. And clearly in the last race they worked that right side. It's, I think increasingly for them at the moment it's about trying to stay out of trouble, out of potential situations and really sail clean. So Quantum Racing on the charge, third in the last race. They've gone 2-2-3, but they have that 9-point deficit to Sled, and that's going to be tough. Sled are usually very, very consistent. Just that 5th place in the last race. Sled are close to them, and in the meantime Phoenix still pushing out to the right side. Privetza winners of that previous race in 5th. So a few comments from the social media channels. Graham Farden watching from Leeming in Perth, Western Australia. Big Cape Town following for Phoenix. Rob Sharp is there. Unfortunately we keep being asked about live video, but live video we're only having at the Rolex TP52 World Championship last month, and a big production in Barcelona in October for the big end of season finale. We'll have live TV there. Our objective as ever is to have live TV at every event as soon as possible, but obviously it's an extremely costly operation. So the advantage swings back to Sled, who are bows forward on Quantum on that left side. And a question from David Freener, I think the name is, asking about how the smart marks are going. In general, very good. Super happy with them in Cascais, even on the last day when we saw a lot of breeze. And of course they really are a big advantage in terms of setting up the course for our Principal Race Officer Maria. So left strengthening as you would expect, with the Interlodge furthest out to the left. But however, great to see Super Series fans all over the world watching just now. We've had Western Australia, Cape Town, South Africa, Florida, and lots of fans for different teams. So Interlodge 8th in that last race. Certainly top two, may still get round the top mark in first, but pushed further and further out to the left, unfortunately, by Sled. Quantum sailing very slightly lower. There's Privetza there coming across on starboard at Quantum. Extremely close in the end. Privetza attacking into the lee bow of Quantum. Very close between the two of them, but by the looks of things, Quantum able to ride it out. So Phoenix coming back on starboard just now. They've got a nice lane, and actually they do have, as we've said several times, they have very, very good upwind pace, or have had so far in the lighter breeze. Certainly, as you can see it just now, I think they're over Value and potentially Prevetsa. A really great, interesting tactics from the Phoenix afterguards, say, avoiding this lineup, this battle on that left side. A nice line across, just pinpoint accuracy to get across Value, I think Prevetsa, and potentially also Quantum. And I think they'll go tack probably on Quantum or just above Quantum's line as soon as they feel they've got the lane. In fact, tacking in front of Quantum in the end. But again, just reiterating what Slingsby was saying yesterday, how important it is to not give away distance by getting out to that left side and ending up in the going higher and higher if you're not in the absolute key position. However, it is Sled leading. Remember, we go into this race with a point between Phoenix and Sled. Interlodge may yet get round in second, but remember, again, this is great tactics from the Phoenix in that they're on the right and will come back at the mark on starboard. There's Interlodge. Will probably just, I think, make the protector mark and may have the door closed on them by Phoenix, but that's certainly Tom Slingsby and Cameron Dunn's objective, staying to the right. The key question is how much of a lift is left on that left side for Sled and Interlodge, and how much do they take it. Meantime, Quantum working back to the left. They'll tack now or just underneath Interlodge, I think. So Sled very much on the bounce back after their worst result of this regatta so far, that 5th place. You see, this is the thing, look at the angles that Quantum are sailing out on that left side. So Allegra getting up into that left side group just underneath Interlodge. So there you see it once again, and Sled lifting. They're only a little bit of distance to weather off Phoenix. Actually, Phoenix are getting a little bit. It's going to be a very close and interesting mark rounding, although Sled do appear to be quite clear. Platoon tack first onto starboard in 5th. Phoenix will go just ahead of them. Privetsa, I think, just looking like they've done turns back there, presumably for fouling Privetsa. Presumably for fouling Platoon. So round the top mark, it's going to be Sled from Phoenix. So the top two boats on the leaderboard just now round in 1st and 2nd. And both of them sailing a great beat, really. So Sled round first, second is Phoenix, 3rd Platoon, 4th Allegra, 5th Quantum Racing. So Allegra better beat 6th Interlodge. Interlodge, as we said, ending up too far to the left. We're on the offset mark just now. Watching Allegra chasing Interlodge there. Gladiator round now. Value round in 7th. Gladiator in 8th. And 9th, well, such is the nature of the 52 Super Series at this moment. So easy to go 1st in one race and 9th in the next one. So that's what's happening for Privetsa just now. Now interesting then, watching Quantum doing that early jibe at the top mark. Sure, on the first run, race number 8. 2 races tomorrow. And with Sled and Phoenix in the top 2 positions on the regatta leaderboard. And I think in this current positions they would be tied on points. What a finale for the final day. And also they'll be 10 points or so clear of Quantum Racing. At the moment, looking like Phoenix will be the team of the day. Five points yesterday, potentially 4 points today. So potentially after this race, all square between Phoenix and Sled. as it was after day 1. Race 1 and race 2. Phoenix 1 and 3, sled 2 and 2. However, Platoon have other ideas. And have jibed earlier. Phoenix carrying on. So that left side working just now for Quantum. Pretty even really with the Phoenix, but potentially up to second just now, but it'll be interesting. I don't think there's very much in it, but Quantum have made a gain for sure coming down with that early jibe. So to Gladiator were 8th at the top mark. We have them 6th just now. So all eyes on Quantum on that left side. Closing, in fact, closing down to sled. So can Phoenix come back from that right side? Super close between the top 3. The Gladiator back in the mix, in 6th. For me, they might just get ahead of Allegra before this leeward mark. But Allegra were 4th at the top mark, they're now in 5th. Sled and Quantum on the same jibe. We're certainly seeing some of the closest racing today. And things opening up for sure on this run. We saw Quantum making an early jibe coming down that left side, and that's not something we've seen. It's been so much of a one-sided track, and Quantum do appear to have made that gain. So absolute credit to them. Lucas Calabrese working with Michele Avaldi, navigator. Terry Hutchison steering. Certainly very close between the top 4, much closer than we've seen. So keep the questions, keep the comments coming on our social media channels. Who do you think is going to be on the top of the podium tomorrow this time? So super close then between the top three, top four. Phoenix still holding second. And the key thing for Phoenix, I think, will be getting to the right hand mark, looking downwind and getting control of the early left. Platoon might find themselves in the middle. One or two little anomalies going on, unfortunately, with their tracking. It is just a function of the phone coverage, the mobile signals that we have, particularly down in this leeward gate end of the course. So through the leeward gates, looking to be super close between Phoenix and Sled. Sled going to the right hand mark, Phoenix on the right hand mark, then correspondingly behind Platoon on the left, Quantum on the right. So in the end, Sled round first, Phoenix second, Quantum ahead of Platoon through the leeward gate, Interlodge up to fifth. Potentially fourth, but really it's about, this one's all about the mark choice through the leeward gate. And it splits on both sides. Phoenix up the left, Platoon up the left, Interlodge up the left, as indeed our Gladiator. Value in the mix in sixth. It's really between Sled and Phoenix. So Phoenix strong on that left side, actually sailing high on starboard. Clearly we're seeing a right hand shift. In the meantime, obviously that's what worked for Quantum in particular, coming down that run, and Interlodge as well in particular. Not unusual in the latter part of the day, but just now it's Phoenix have taken the benefit. So this would give them another point rather than being tied on points. This really has been the most fascinating race we've had so far, this regatta. Platoon losing out very slightly then in fourth, but big delta back to or behind Phoenix. Just remember how close it was at that leeward gate. Now we're seeing Phoenix clear ahead. Just laughing with our friend Oliver Ochse, I think his name is, Segelberater. Started watching late today. Could you please give more wind information, because we're going to do Copa del Rey next week. Anyway, yes, more often than not in the sea breeze in Palma on the left side pays, but we've just seen a right shift in the last kind of phase of this race. For sure, Quantum came down in the righty. And Greg Reynolds observing Phoenix always higher and faster. For sure, they've been good in the lighter stuff, upwind in particular. But it was interesting in the early part of the season when they had the new keel fin on, and you spoke to Tom Slingsby then. And he was saying he felt personally that they'd actually lost a little bit of their upwind speed. Not necessarily the opinion all the way through the team, I don't think, but anyway, that seems to now hold true, and they've gone back to the previous fin. They too have updated their sails a little bit, their sail program. Sled have got some new sails on board. So I think at the moment for Phoenix, it's really about trying to stay between Sled and the mark. That's why they're coming back from that left side. There may well be another lefty to come on that left side, or the geographical lefty that we were just talking about on the Bay of Palma. Really caused because the breeze wraps round Cabo Blanco, this high bluff cliffs that go out on the east side of the bay. The breeze wraps round. We're pretty much in the middle of the bay. For our friends talking about Copa del Rey, Copa del Rey is in general, depending on which fleet you're in, but there is a rota or sail most of the different race course areas, but that left side race area is always left in the sea breeze. So the left coming in strong again. And I think the key thing, as much as anything, with Phoenix's position where they are, is they keep a cover on sled. We may see a couple of boats getting ahead of sled, and that would be to Phoenix's advantage going into the final day tomorrow. So Interlodge very much coming back into play. Now remember, they were down in 6th at the top mark first time up. So that puts Interlodge between them and sled. So this is looking good just now for the Phoenix team. Really, they've sailed an immaculate race. Nothing they can do to influence Interlodge's position. Interlodge will come in from that left side and do look to be ahead of sled at the moment by some 30 or 40 metres. So in terms of tomorrow's forecast, another question from our audience. It is very similar all the way through the week. The prediction was that the first 3 days would be lighter, and then we might see a stronger sea breeze for the second half, if you like, for the last 2 days of the regatta. So Phoenix, I think, just sailing the shifts as they can with a lead now at nearly 100 metres. Just covering sled. They will do what they can to slow them down and get them back into the traffic as much as possible. They have Quantum coming up there at them from the right on starboard. So for sure Phoenix just thought, well, we might as well tack on them, send them back out to the right, engage them as much as possible with their Quantum, leave the door open to Interlodge coming in on the left, as say Phoenix have got this lead, this margin of 80 or 90 metres. So as much as possible, bounce your rival back into the traffic. Bayou coming in just underneath Interlodge. They're on port, of course. Quantum in the middle there of that little group coming into the top mark. Bayou in 5th. Platoon in 7th. So interesting then, Quantum going well, just coming in on port now. Very close with Interlodge. Interlodge being pressed out to the right by Quantum, who will come round in 3rd. So actually things not working out as a Sled and or certainly not as Phoenix wanted. They now have Sled going round in 2nd, Quantum in 3rd, and Interlodge 4th. You're just seeing Interlodge there setting their kite, coming away in 4th. So still close between Phoenix and Sled, but at the moment Phoenix will open up another point of a lead. So really not a good race in the end for Platoon so far. Went round that top mark first time up in 3rd. And really completely losing their way down in 8th now. So only boat jibing away early this time is Gladiator in 9th, so clearly the feeling just now is that Breeze is in the left phase. I'm saying that Phoenix jibing just as I speak, but Sled and Quantum looking like they'll carry on. So lots of changes through this race. Privetz are getting themselves up to 5th. Remember, they were 9th at the top mark first time up. Platoon were 4th, 3rd in fact, now down in 8th. But for me, Phoenix in a header there coming down. Sitting more directly towards the finish line, but clearly just now Quantum and Sled electing to carry on. See whether they get more breeze and more right hand pressure as they get down. So there you have the projected standings after 8 races. If positions stay the same, then Phoenix would go into this final day leading by 2 points ahead of Sled. Sled, who won here in August last year. Quantum will be 10 points behind. Interlodge would be 2 points behind them. 3 points behind in 5th would be Privetz. Platoon in 6th on 39 points. Allegra 7th, 50, Gladiator 60 and Vayu 61. So what a lead then for Phoenix. Of course they'll take the points and they'll be 2 points clear, but it's a big confidence booster to be 200 metres ahead of your nearest rivals for the regatta title, albeit the team which won the event here last year. As we said earlier on in the regatta earlier on the week, Phoenix are a team who've been knocking on the doors often last year and this. And one thing we know about Tom Slingsby is he's super cool under pressure. He's a closer, he's a finisher. And I think as much as anything, everything, all things being equal, he personally wants to add a 52 Super Series regatta win at least to his long list of successes. At the same time, lots of credit to Cameron Appleton on the Interlodge. Getting from 6th, first time up to 3rd. Now that last top mark they were in 4th. Battling Quantum just now out down this final run. And Platoon are not far out of it as well. Platoon were 8th at the top mark, getting up to 5th down that left side. So close, so intense in this fleet. Things changing all the time. Places gained and lost in the middle of the fleet coming down this run. Value losing a couple of places. They were up in 6th, I think, at the top mark, now dropping to 9th. The only thing really looking reasonably assured at the moment, and even then, remember they finished yesterday when Quantum and Sled were, well, in fact, Quantum was well clear, I think like 120 metres clear at the top mark of Sled. Sled got into Quantum and they finished just a second apart through the finish line. And at the same time, Interlodge came flying down the middle of the course and very, very nearly stole the victory from both of them. So anyway, Phoenix just keeping a cover on the boats behind. We're watching Platoon out on that extreme left side. They've got themselves up to 4th, but for me, this right side looking downwind where Quantum are, sailing more directly towards the finish line in more of a header. So for sure a little gain to Quantum on that right, on that basis, coming down in the header. Super close to Sled, a little bit of deja vu. This time Sled are leading coming in towards the finish line. Yesterday they just rolled Quantum in the final embers of the race 6. Is there anything can Quantum do to get through Sled? Phoenix comfortable with that 135 metre lead. Sled holding out for Quantum. Allegri coming in 4th from that left side looking downwind. So this will be Phoenix's 4th race win from 8 starts. One 1-3-1, 8-1, 4-2-1. As I say, gaining that extra point on Sled. Didn't look that way at the top mark. First time up, Sled were leading Phoenix with Platoon in 3rd, Allegra in 4th. Next time up, Phoenix were through with Sled 2nd, Quantum Racing 3rd. We're looking at the finish line now and we see Phoenix getting through the line, as I say, for their 4th win and one which will take them 2 points clear at the top of the table going into the final day of racing here in Puerto Portales. Sled are getting second. Quantum Racing third. And probably Interlodge fourth. It's a little bit lighter, just we're seeing that from our live images, probably 10 knots there now. We are a little bit later in the day, given that we started with an hour delay. It's 25 to 5 local time here on the Bay of Palma. Platoon coming through for 5th. Corvettes are the race winners of race 7, coming through I think in 6th. Or 7th. Platoon gets 6th, Corvettes are 7th. Bayou 8th and Gladiator 9th. And by my reckoning, I think, yeah, well, my reckoning's wrong. But I was about to say, I think that would get Bayou off the bottom of the leaderboard and overtaking Gladiator, but I think they'll be on even points. But so much to play for tomorrow. It's going to be a fascinating final day. Unusual to have the regatta finishing on a Tuesday. That's the way of it. Having this regatta fitting in between other major events, and that's the reason we're running Friday to Tuesday. But that's no hardship in anybody's book, really. So all credit to Phoenix, to Tony Norris, the helmsman, project manager, and the team today, coming away with a 2 and a 1. Sled getting a 5 and a 2. Quantum Racing getting a pair of thirds. Interlodge an 8th and a 4th. Allegra 7 and 5 for the day. Platoon 10-point day for them. So let's have a look at the standings after 8 races. And as we said, seeing Phoenix moving 1 point clear, or another point clear, to lead by 2 points going into the final day. Hopefully we can get the standings up. There you go, 21 points to Phoenix. They say they've won 4 races from 8 starts. They're 2 points clear of Sled. Sled are 10 points clear of Quantum Racing, who now starting to look like they will finish on the podium. Interlodge in 4th on 37 points, 1 point behind are Provezza, 2 points behind Interlodge are Platoon. Then a gap of 9 points back to Allegra in 7th, Gladiator 8th. Bayou in the end still in 9th, but they're a point closer to Gladiator. So what a great day's racing. A little bit more wind pressure, a little bit more breeze today. And 2 point lead then, Phoenix carrying into the final day. Join us tomorrow for hopefully the 2 good races on the Bay of Palma to decide the destination of the Puerto Portals 52 Super Series Sailing Week title. Join us then.
See you,